The John Denver Muppets Christmas special.
From 1979 on ABC. For Muppet specials, the Holy Quadrilogy is this, Muppet Family Christmas from 87, which I remember asking to be taped from television. So that's like my main one. Also, Christmas Eve on Sesame Street and Emmett Otter's Junk on Christmas.
Christmas Eve on Sesame Street. This one I haven't seen since I was a little kid. Vague recollections of it. What I do remember the ripples that it sent through the culture, because every late night host, every stand-up comedian would have some kind of like John Denver and the Muppets kind of thing.
I saw they had it on CD. I bought it when I was in college, actually,
on DVD.
Like 20,
or you got the audio.
CD. I couldn't find it, but that's where I was like, John Denver and the Muppets. Ha ha. Oh, come to Papa, and then I immediately purchased it.
And we'll have to. We'll have to direct your attention to our, one of our favorite Total Recall Show episodes when we talked about John Denver's, ass-kicking, tough guy, persona, TV movie Higher Ground that he did.
With co-lead of Martin Cove.
Yeah, Martin Cove, where John Denver was Batman and Martin Cove was Robin.
He was very a Robin. And this is like a great companion piece, because in that one, he was cucking Martin Cove. In this one, he's cucking Kermit the Frog.
This is true.
Throughout watching this, I was trying to picture him with a different haircut.
Right, because they do that sometimes. They'll sometimes take somebody from a different era and give them a more modern haircut to kind of see okay, maybe. I saw that with Alice from the Brady Bunch. They gave her a modern haircut to show that because I think she's 43 on the Brady Bunch, but she looks super old. But if you give her 63. If you give her a more modern haircut, she does look more like a modern 43-year-old.
He's had this cut my whole life.
That's the John Denver I know. And at the very beginning, he's got the top hat and he's singing the 12 Days of Christmas. And it's insufferable. It goes on and on. But I was watching that and I was thinking, did Steven Spielberg and George Lucas see that and be like, okay, that's the look we want for our villain? Because he looks like Tote, the villain from Raiders of the Lost Ark.
Absolutely. And
and the Dusseldorfer name, in an early draft of the Raiders of the Lost Ark script, was that character called, Herr Dusseldorfer or something?
You're so fucking right.
Being on the Muppet Show or whatever, being the human who's with the Muppets was the hippest, coolest thing you can imagine at that time. But I feel like John Denver's special, slams the brakes on that notion and kind of ruined it. For years, I don't think the Muppets brand, it took decades for the Muppets brand to recover from their association with John Denver.
He blew the street cred of Electric Man.
Yeah. The Muppets they're not funny with him. He kills the Muppets, and the Muppets don't do him any favors, and he doesn't do the Muppets any favors. It's kind of this weird, anti-chemistry.
You're right. I was looking at his, how he was treating the Muppets, and it was weird that he was, treating them like pets. Mm-hmm. When you see him interacting with them, he's, petting Fozzie Bear as Santa. Then he's, when Kermit has that, talk about show business, he's like, oh, Kermit, you're, a little, he was rubbing them and petting them.
Understand, and we had this issue with Higher Ground. He was an extremely popular entertainer, hit songs, Grammys and whatnot. But he's not an actor, and he's not an actor. He was in Oh God, which I still have never seen. I've seen Oh God book 2. I haven't seen Oh God. He's just not an actor. And so, I think an experienced actor would kind of understand, oh yeah, I got to regard the Muppets as if I'm working opposite, another actor.
Laurence Olivier.
Yeah, not they're pets. I think that's just naturally where he went, because they're these small animals. So,
he's touching them and rubbing them.
Yeah.
And then when the credits came up at the beginning, I was like, all right, okay, a Muppet special, yes. It's you expect
I was
all
so
these
excited.
Stars and stuff. It's John Denver.
Yeah,
and that's it.
Because
talk about a vanity project.
More recently, it's the Muppets and Lady Gaga or
Yeah.
some, you know, some real voltage. Like, is John Denver the Lady Gaga of 1979? Because I would say no. I'd say he lacks the voltage. He's, you know, whatever Lady Gaga's got, that it factor, he doesn't have it.
He strong-armed all the other people out.
Yeah.
It's like John Denver and Martin Cove. And Martin Cove's in like rags and tatters.
I saw this thing where it was this proposal that Jim Henson gave to Johnny Carson as like, you know, Johnny Carson in like Muppet Land or it was like a TV special where it'd be Johnny Carson and he'd encounter all this different like Muppet kind of stuff. And like Johnny Carson said, no, thanks. And I think it was like, I don't want to be a John Denver, you know, like I don't want to be.
I mean, this is a true vanity project. He muscled out like, he's just riding solo here.
Yeah.
And
a vanity project like Higher Ground.
We're seeing a pattern here.
I need script approval. Let's, you know, change this here. Emmett Otter, I do see that DVD in stores from time to time. And like some of the other Muppets things, but I haven't seen this. Since I was a kid, and it's like the only way you can watch it now, as far as I can tell, is like you dig up some, you know, old, you know, YouTube thing that was uploaded 20 years ago. You know,
definitely
super low quality that you watch in like portions.
Yeah, it's from someone's like VHS rip. Mm-hmm. That's the only place I've ever seen it.
Yeah, there he is. He's like petting Kermit. He's not like shaking his hand. Or like giving him a fist bump or something. He's like petting. It's very.
I noticed that earlier. I'm like, he doesn't know how to act against these Muppets.
Yeah, he's like intimidated by the Muppets. He's like giving Kermit a foot rub.
Yeah, he's like walking Rolf earlier. He's got like he puts Fozzie Bear in like
exactly like he wants to take the rights away from the Muppets.
John Denver, he's wants to fuck over all these Muppets. I think one of these points. He's like talking, and they got the camera right in his groin.
That was contractually stipulated. Also, he insisted.
He had the Jim Henson Company make him like a wad for his groin. It's actually controlled by through two puppeteers or whatever.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, like, why is the Muppet Show like so hip and dangerous and fun, and this special is like so not like.
Yeah.
Like, I understand Christmas, it's like you aim for like a little more sentimental and stuff. It's just like, or is it like the Star Wars holiday special where it's like, it's a completely different creative team. It's not George Lucas. It's not Henson. It's like they handed it off to somebody else.
That's a good point, because this has all the like the feel of the Star Wars holiday special. Like that would be a great double feature. Yeah. This and the Star Wars Holiday Special, because Muppet Family Christmas does not feel like this at all.
It was like an early impression, and I didn't really know much about John Denver, so it's just kind of like, oh, the Muppets guy, the guy who sucked with the Muppets. That's who John Denver is. And then, oh wait, he has like fans.
I was looking at his record sales. He sold over like almost like 50 million records. I like the sets. Like, I always like a good special set. Like,
yeah, I mean, one of the things I like about John Denver, just knowing like a little bit about his story, was that, you know, when he was doing like really well and winning a bunch of awards and stuff, the sort of country music establishment looked down on him because like he didn't come through like the Nashville pipeline. He was kind of like an outside, you know.
Yeah.
I feel from that like the clique, you know, the club was trying to keep him out.
You're right, gatekeeping.
There was some gatekeeping going on. So I feel bad having all this horrible stuff to say about him, because I do and again, I think largely it is just like the dead eyes that he looks at the camera with and stuff. But yeah.
I think he was born in Roswell, New Mexico, so there could be some kind of like the Denver conspiracy.
I mean, yeah, he does look like he's from another planet. He does look reptilian. He looks reptilian.
He was what they discovered at the Roswell.
Yeah, he looks like his whole jaw could unhinge and he could eat like an entire person in one gulp.
He's like, oh my god, yeah. They find him at the Roswell. He's in the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is what they open that coffin. It's John Denver.
Yeah, like every now and then George Lucas and Steven Spielberg fire this special up to get like ideas for their next movie. They're like, okay, I want to see this guy's face melt. I want to see this guy open up the Ark of the Covenant and just have his face completely melt off. Because I like Tote. I always thought of as like, they're doing Peter Lorre. It's like they want to like Harrison Ford is a modern Humphrey Bogart. And then, like, Tote is like a modern Peter Lorre. But it's like, he doesn't look like Peter Lorre. He looks like John Denver.
He definitely looks like John Denver.
And especially when John Denver's, like, wearing, like, the old-timey clothes and stuff.
It's weird. Backstage, he pulls out this weird thing, and Kermit thinks he's going to kill him. And he hangs his jacket up. Yeah. Oh, what are you going to do, Mr. Denver? Steven, in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, he's like, hey, Mac, remember when we found that weird singer-songwriter in the desert? He's like, you're a triple agent. Disney Plus or whatever, you'd think something like this would be just sitting on there. But no, it's like, it's nowhere to... It's buried in the Disney vaults. There's more evidence of the John Denver conspiracy. Born in Roswell, New Mexico. Well, look at the... Oh, I was going to say, there's like a shadow in the background that kind of looks like a gray alien. It looks like a gray alien that hung itself. But it's probably just a cardboard cutout of Ted Danson. Yeah, and there's Rolf. You know what? I got choked up kind of during this performance at the very end here. With Rolf. He's like, that was a good one. Yeah, I mean, you can't help it. This stuff's like so drenched in nostalgia, and again, you know, it's pushing buttons that are like buried so deep, like depending on how early you first saw these things. Yeah, there was a gray alien in the background too. That was weird. It was like worth checking out. You know, well, curious about other people's opinions. Those are just like sort of, you know, my impressions of. Like I thought I might be delighted by this in the ways that I was delighted by, you know, like the Brady Bunch variety show and something. But to me, there's not really any magic here. Yeah, this might be like the third or fourth time I've ever seen this in my life. Like, I've seen Muppet Family Christmas and Christmas Eve on Sesame Street. Really, like, and the Star Wars Holiday Special. Oh, we love Happy belated Life Day. Yep. I was like, whoa, John Denver. And then I was like, oh, it's a gray. I'm Tom Scioli, author of Jack Kirby, The Epic Life of the King of Comics. I am Stan, a graphic biography of the legendary Stan Lee, and Jack Kirby's Star Warriors, The Adventures of Adam Star and the Solar Legion. I'm also the author of WITCHMAN, a new superhero comic book, which recently had a successful Kickstarter campaign. I'm Matt Zeoli. I was going to say, if you see John Denver out there, but I guess you won't be seeing him. Yes. Well, if you see John Denver out there, then it's a Christmas miracle.